Hello students. While studying organic chemistry in elimination reactions, usually we come across the term base. Similarly, in nucleophilic substitution reactions also, we come across the term nucleophile. In this session, we are going to study the difference between base and a nucleophile, as well as basicity and nucleophilicity. Let us start the session with base. As per Lewis' theory of acids and bases, base is the one that donates electron pair to form a dative bond. Consider a substance B having a lone pair of electrons per donation, which is reacting with an acid HA. Means it is an acidic substance, it can generate a proton to give the product HB along with A minus. Now in this reaction we can observe that this substance B is donating its electron pair to this proton and removing it out of HA. That's what the definition of a base. A base is a substance that removes a proton. Base is a substance that removes a proton. Now, you can notice an equilibrium reaction here, for which we can generate an equilibrium constant, which is nothing but the ratio of concentration of products to that of reactants. For this equilibrium reaction, we can write it as concentration of HB into that of A minus by concentration of B and concentration of HB. We can say that basicity is depending on equilibrium constant. Basicity depends on equilibrium constant, which in turn depends on thermodynamic stability of product. Means more the stability, thermodynamic stability of product, more will be the equilibrium constant, and hence more is the basicity. So from this relation we can say that basicity is a thermodynamic phenomenon. Basicity is a thermodynamic phenomenon. Now let us discuss about nucleophilicity. A nucleophile is a substance which attacks at an electrophilic center other than proton. What's meant by a nucleophile? The substance that attacks at an electrophilic center other than a proton. It can be anything, but should not be proton. For example, you take a substance which is reacting with an organic molecule containing leaving group, usually which is more electronegative. So because of which the bond will be polarized towards the leaving group and generates an electrophilic center at carbon. Now in this reaction what's happening? This nucleophile is attacking at this electrophilic center and forms a product like this, and leaving group moves out with its electron pair. In this reaction what the substance is doing? It is donating its electron pair, it is attacking at the electrophilic center and forming a new substance. That's what the definition of a nucleophile. A nucleophile is a substance which attacks at an electrophilic center other than a proton. The point to be noted here is nucleophilicity is a kinetic phenomenon. Nucleophilicity is a kinetic phenomena. How can we say it is a kinetic phenomena? How? It is nothing but how fast it can attack at an electrophilic center. It's nothing but the rate of attack at an electrophilic center. That's why nucleophilicity is called as a kinetic phenomenon. Now, from the discussion of a base as well as a nucleophile, we noticed one thing. Both the substances must be electron rich to donate. So what's the point to be noted? Both base and a nucleophile should be electron rich. Both base and a nucleophile should be electron rich. Let us take one more example. OH minus reacting with H2O to give some product. The same OH minus is reacting with some substance containing leaving group to form another product. What are the products in this? Here we can say that it is forming, suppose instead of H2O we can take some HCl. Now in this reaction it is removing this proton to give H2O plus Cl minus, whereas in this reaction it is forming a new substance. So here and there the substance is same. Have you observed? Here and there the substance is same, but here it is acting as a base, whereas in other reaction it is acting as a nucleophile. How to predict this? How to predict when a substance acts as a base and when a substance acts as a nucleophile? To predict this, we need certain factors. So our next topic is factors that helps us in predicting the basicity and nucleophilicity. The first factor is magnitude of charge. The first factor is magnitude of charge. Usually, negatively charged species are more basic than the corresponding neutral species. What I said? Negatively charged species are usually more basic than the corresponding neutral species. For example, you consider a neutral molecule CH4 and its anion derivative, that is CH3 minus. The negative species is more basic than its corresponding neutral species. CH3 minus is more basic than CH4. The same way, we can say that NH2 minus is more basic than NH3. OH minus is also more basic than H2O. So this is the first factor that helps us in predicting the basicity as well as nucleophilicity. What is that? Magnitude of charge. Negatively charged species are more basic than the corresponding neutral species in this way. Next factor. The second factor that helps us in predicting basicity and nucleophilicity is when the donor atom of comparison belongs to same period. Consider CH4 and H3, H2O and HF. We can predict with increase in electronegativity of central atom, acidic character increases. So from CH4 to HF, acidic character is increasing. So obviously, after behaving as an acid, this is what the conjugate form. Here this is the conjugate form. Here OH minus and here F minus. So from left to right, acidic character is increasing. Acidic character is increasing. As this is weak acid, its conjugate CH3 minus is said to be strong base. As this is strong acid, its conjugate F minus is said to be weak base. Now, the point to be learnt here is when donor atoms of comparison belongs to same period, this is the thumb rule, nucleophilicity parallels basicity. It's a very important line. When the donor atoms of comparison, here carbon, here nitrogen, here oxygen, here fluorine, which belongs to same period. When the donor atoms of comparison belongs to same period, then nucleophilicity parallels basicity, means whatever the sequence shown for basicity, the same sequence will be shown in nucleophilicity also. For example, from left to right here, basicity is decreasing. This is strong base, this is weak base. In a similar manner, among this species, nucleophilicity also decreases. So when we have to follow this? Whenever the donor atom of comparison belongs to same period. Here, we need to take certain more points. For example, whenever the donor atom of comparison belongs to same period, both basicity and nucleophilicity are independent of solvent. Means solvent has no effect on these characteristics, both basicity and nucleophilicity. Second point to be learned is both basicity and nucleophilicity are inversely proportional to electronegativity of donor atom. Are inversely proportional to electronegativity of donor atom. For example, if you take CH3 minus, NH2 minus, OH minus and F minus, suppose. Here fluorine is more electronegative, because of which it holds the electron density tightly. As electronegativity decreases, electrons will be weakly held to the central atom. So, more the electronegativity, less is the basic and nucleophilic character. So, this is weak base. This is strong base. This is weak nucleophile. This is strong nucleophile. As I said, whenever the atoms of comparison belongs to same period, basicity and nucleophilicity will be parallel. There is one more point. There is one more point to study here. Both basicity and nucleophilicity are directly proportional to polarizability of anion. You might have studied this polarizability in chemical bonding. Polarizability means its ability to get polarized. Usually, polarizability will be more when the size is more. So, larger one will be more readily polarized. Smaller one is less readily polarized. So, more the polarizability, more is basicity and nucleophilicity. So in this way, these 3 points are to be studied whenever the atoms of comparison belongs to same period. Now, down the groove, when the atoms of comparison are in a group, for example, you take hydrogen fluoride, hydrogen chloride, hydrogen bromide and hydrogen iodide. From top to bottom in this series, acidic character increases, means this is weak acid, whereas HI is strong acid. As this is a weak acid, we can say its conjugate F minus is strong base, its conjugate I minus as weak base. So, down the series from F minus, Cl minus, Br minus and I minus, down the series, basic character is decreasing. Basic character is decreasing. We can simply predict this with respect to the conjugate acid base theory. But when it comes to the nucleophilicity, trend among the species, there we need to consider the solvent. Means solvent plays major role. In such a case, solvent plays major role. So, before going through this concept, we need to study about the classification of solvent. Basically, solvents are classified into 4 categories. Namely, polar protic, polar but aprotic means which cannot generate a proton, weakly polar aprotic and non-polar solvents. Polar protic, polar aprotic, weakly polar aprotic and non-polar solvents. Polar aprotic means which can generate a proton, means which are polar, means where bond polarization takes place, and at the same time which can generate a proton. For example, H2O, HX. Instead of HX we can take alcohols, solvent, alcohols, all alcohols, carboxylic acids. So these are polar substances and can generate a proton. So these are examples for polar aprotic solvents. When it comes to polar aprotic solvents, for example, you take dimethyl sulfoxide. SO bond is polar bond. SO bond due to electronegativity difference. SO bond is polar bond, but there is no proton to generate. That's why it comes under polar aprotic solvent. Similarly, another example for polar aprotic is dimethyl formamide. Dimethyl formamide. So these are some examples for polar aprotic. When it comes to weakly polar aprotic, like acetone, whenever electronegativity difference decreases, polar nature decreases. Along with that, even atomic size also plays major role. So this is one example for weakly polar aprotic, and even thioacetone. Thioacetone is also an example for weakly polar aprotic. And when it comes to non-polar solvents, examples are carbon tetrachloride, benzene, hexane, dimethyl ether, etc. So this is what the classification of solvents, a simple classification of solvents into 4 categories: polar aprotic, weakly polar aprotic, and non-polar. The point to be studied here is, with the change in type of solvent, nucleophilicity trend also varies. Let us go through that one. Case 1 is in polar protic solvents. In polar protic solvents, suppose we are given with the salts, some metal salts, metal fluoride, metal chloride, metal bromide, and metal iodide. So I am skipping this metal cation because it's not required actually. Now, in presence of polar protic solvent, for example, you take water or alcohol, etc., any polar protic solvent. Here, we need to consider the concept of solvation. You might have studied that solvation. If water is the solvent, that is called as hydration, where the solvent molecules will surround these ions. Solvent molecules will surround these ions. And another point we have already learned is, smaller the size of ion, more will be the solvation. See, this is the size of ions without hydration, anhydrous ions. After getting hydrated, among them which is more readily hydrated? F minus, the smaller one will get more readily hydrated. So in hydrated state, this is what the size of fluoride, this is what the size of chloride, and this is that of bromide, and this is that of iodide. Actually, we studied the term nucleophilicity. You remember that? What's meant by nucleophilicity? It is how fast it attacks at an electrophile. When can it attack faster? When it can move freely. When can it move freely? When it is smaller in size, more mobile. So among these, which is more mobile now? Hydrated iodide or hydrated fluoride? Usually the smaller one will be more mobile and it can attack freely. That's why in presence of polar protic solvents, nucleophilicity of I minus is greater than Br minus, greater than Cl minus, greater than F minus. So like this, with respect to the solvent, we have to see the nucleophilicity trend. Next. In case of polar aprotic solvents, consider the same ions, Cl minus, Br Br minus and I minus. This is how the ionic radii varies in anhydrous state. Now, when we take polar aprotic solvent, suppose dimethyl sulfoxide. This is the polar group. It is polar group polarized towards the more electronegative atom, negative terminal and positive terminal. Usually, this solvent molecule surrounds both cation and anion, both. But this cation cannot surround this anion properly. Why? Because this cation itself is surrounded by bulky groups. That's why this cannot be employed successfully. But anion, this negative terminal is free, set free. Because of this reason, anionic terminal solvates only cations of salt. Salt means this one. I am repeating. These are taken in the form of salts. It contains cation and anion. When these are taken in presence of polar aprotic solvents, only cation will be surrounded by this anionic terminal because it is set free. But these anions cannot be successfully surrounded by this positive terminal because it itself is sterically hindered. So, therefore, these anions are left free. As anions are left free, which can move faster? That itself is said to be more nucleophilic. Which can move faster? The one which is smaller in size is more mobile. So now, in presence of polar aprotic solvent, as anions are set free or left free, smaller ion will be more quick in mobility and is more nucleophilic. Therefore, fluoride is more nucleophilic than chloride, than bromide, than iodide. This is how nucleophilicity varies in presence of polar aprotic solvents. Now let's come to weakly polar aprotic or non-polar. Both are similar here. We'll study both at once. Non-polar solvents. In presence of weakly polar aprotic or non-polar solvents, as this is weakly polar and this is non-polar, ions doesn't get dissociated. Means we are given with the cation and anion, no? In the previous cases we discussed. Suppose metal fluoride, metal chloride, metal bromide, etc. See, suppose sodium fluoride, sodium chloride, sodium bromide and sodium iodide. In this way they will be given. As this is weakly polar aprotic and this is non-polar, in either case, ions won't get dissociated. They will be as it is. They will be existing as it is. So because of that reason, what happens here? Large cation and small anion. According to Fazan's rules we studied in chemical bonding, whenever cation is larger and anion is smaller, they will be held strongly, strong ionic bond. And as we move down the group, size of cation will be remaining as it is, but size of anion is increasing. So here strong ionic forces will be operating, whereas here weak ionic forces will be operating. Because of this, from smaller anion to larger anion, we can see mobility of larger anion will be more because smaller anion is held strongly to the cation, whereas here this anion, larger anion, is held weakly to the cation. So this larger anion is more nucleophilic than the smaller. In such a case, nucleophilicity of I minus is greater than Br minus, greater than Cl minus, greater than F minus.